anybody's here connected tonight, please smash the like. We're going to talk about Jasmy and talk about Europe. And I just want to give a shout out to the one and only Icy Amphibian, our fellow brother Icy. So, Icy, when you watch this on ShopDot, thank you so much for your research and thank you for your continuous effort in regards to covering Jasmy, especially on X, sharing it on Reddit, and so on, right? Let's talk about this for a second. So technically speaking, this was 8 months ago. Now, you may be wondering why you keep doing this, Max. Again, it's part of the outline. I referenced the past to give you an idea where we're at in the present for where we can go to the future. Icy Amphibian posted this. Jasmy patent has reached Europe. This was an update from 8 months ago, give or take. And I thought I'd get more into elaborating on this. So he has a link. Here it is. You will see some things being mentioned. Now, you may be wondering, like, why get into a deep dive about this? Well, it's important to know some of these things. So, date of publication, like it says for the bulletin, was 6/14/2023. So that would have been, like summer 2023. And then, of course, on the bulletin, it even, transfers over to 2024. International Patent Classification has these numbers. Who are the inventors? Well, you have Kazumasa Sato. You have Takashi Hagawara. You have, for instance, some of these other guys that you might not be familiar with, but those three guys or two stand out. Applicant is Jasmy Incorporated, Tokyo, right? And what's really interesting is designated contracting states. Okay. So this is not talking about the United States of America. No, don't get twisted. We're talking about European Union members, right? So, like, I imagine AL might be like Albania, some other familiar ones here. CZ, for example, the Czech Republic, right? We have, for instance, Great Britain, France, right? You get the gist, okay? Getting more into this, it talks about the specific patent, a terminal device, information processing system. Talks about how this device 100 has a storage unit 180 storing a first personally identifiable information and an operation unit 121 for inputting second personnel or personally identifiable information that has been associated with the first personally identifiable information stored in the storage unit. In layman's terms, guys, come on, concept of like a personal data locker. Notice how it mentions blockchain. Notice how it mentions some of these things, maybe some of the energy it takes and so on. But again, you have to understand that they have to have proper patents. They have to meet certain standards, right? To, allow this to happen. When I got more into this, I liked some of the terminology that was listed, and that is just getting into like the key things. I don't want to get into all the nerd talk, but they mentioned about a problem that's to be solved by the particular invention. He presented an invention that provides an information processing apparatus, and that, the sharing of personal information from a concept completely different from prior art means that it solves a problem. Again, guys, back to what we talked about earlier: action, reaction, positioning themselves for the future, even for Europe. Now, I'm going to come back into the frame and talk about this for a brief moment. The significance about all this is understanding the concept of every action that has a reaction. As we've seen, what was the most important thing that happened with Jasmy that sent it, as some of you guys would say, to the moon, right? Going from the depths of the valley of FUD, going from 0.0027, and recognizing that happened a couple of times. FTX thing obviously crashed the market monumentally. Seeing things happen with Jasmy, Binance US putting Jasmy into the innovation zone and so on. And then going from there to realizing it's not that Jasmy's scam, as the fudders would say, but recognizing that, wow, something big happened here because of an action that ended up being a direct reaction from that. And understanding that there was a bill that was passed, right, that became a law, and recognizing that Japan now has this huge enabler of Web3 laws being passed that literally mention Web3, and that Japan has fully embraced blockchain and DLT. Like I pointed out over a year ago, Japan should be the first Jasmy, because his connection to Japan, should be the first to do something at the start of this bull run. That already happened. Second big thing, all right, was recognizing that you saw Hong Kong, okay, invest heavily, as well as Taiwan, into Japan, okay, semiconductors, manufacturing plants, and so on. And we did that whole thing of, wow, look at this, JASM, JASM, and saying it's speculative in regards to the Jasmy connection, but for the first time ever, seeing that Hara retweeted about that. And that just blew everybody away. Like, wow, now maybe there's something there. But we already been there. We already done that. And it's good to recognize all those things, but we have to recognize this thing about Europe. And so once again, I'm bringing it to you guys because I want you to understand why it's so important to get into the action and reaction of this. Here's another part from the particular PDF. If you're wondering where this comes from, I'll drop it in the comments for you guys. Unfortunately, only you guys on X will see this, or not X, YouTube will see this. One of the benefits of being on YouTube as well. But if you want to go to data.epo.org, you can see this particular one because some of you guys do appreciate the links. Going to full screen this for a second. And yes, this whole thing about terminal device information processing system. Bottom right. Notice what it mentions. A little bit above bottom right. 0023. A program according to the present invention may be a program installed in a terminal device. The terminal device in which the program is installed may comprise of a storage function for storing a first personally identifiable information. Operating function, all this nerd talk, right? But what's the effect of it? You like the idea, you appreciate the idea. They kind of give it, the patent office heads up. According to the aspect of present invention, you have this whole thing of information processing apparatus. Again, like a PDL. That's all it basically is. Tells how it all functions. We're not trying to get into all the nitty gritty of it all. But things like this: information processing system of the present embodiment may have plurality of terminal devices. Think about this: terminal devices connected to all sorts of things in regards to what? The Internet of Things, whether it's CMOS image sensors that work with semiconductors, you name it, right? I think it's a big deal. Very, very big deal. And there's so many different pages about this. I'm not going to get into all this. It would take 12 hours to get into all this. You do have, for example, pictures of this, and I do want to get into some of this stuff. Hold on a second. Let me pull this one up because some of you guys do want to have some examples, and I can't blame you. Let's share this. Kind of gives an idea. Terminal units, how it all comes together, how much energy is going to be used. Look at this for a second. The phone. Is this an idea? Am I giving you a taste of like how the super wallet is going to look? Not necessarily, but you like and appreciate how this all works. This explains, to a sense, the juicy stuff, the nitty gritty, not the fluff, the actual utility. You will receive coupons and great deals from partner stores. We recommend setting your own secret code to easily identify if you're not real or not. Boom, secret code. And it kicks over to the right, but before you get to that, it says it is an identifier with color that only you know. Information from secure party will always have this identifier. But to avoid counterfeiting, you can decide on your own color. See my point? My point is understanding we've all wanted examples of this darn super wallet. We all want examples of the app. We all want to see what it could possibly be on a phone. And remember how it says receive coupons? It's not just coupons. It's benefiting the local society, incentivizing you to use the app to benefit you, maybe having data monetized, you name it, but giving you an actual say over your data for a change. Unlike just giving this freely away to the likes of Facebook, the likes of Google, the likes of the centralized authorities of GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, right? This is interesting too, because when we talk about the super wallet, it says good information arrived from Super Marukawa. I wonder what that all means, right? Maybe it's just a username. Who knows? Maybe it's just an example. But what's sent? What arrives? right? What arrives is, for example, the rewards. Is this an example of literally the PDL or literally the monetization side of things? Yeah, it is. This is awesome. And this is being introduced where? To Europe. So when we talk about utility in motion, it's understanding that you need to take more of the deeper dives, whether it's with me or whoever else. You need to understand that this is not some BS utility. This is not some, hey, we might do this. Jasmy is doing it. And that's what's important. Look at this. Thank you for earning blah, blah, blah. 50 points. And how it all comes together. Over and over and over again. Look at this. You're about to disclose sensitive information. How are you going to choose to disclose it? You have the option. Can you imagine this? Can we come back in the frame for a second? Can you imagine this for a second? I want you guys to understand what you have and why you hold it. This is why I go the distance with you guys. It's understanding that we could talk about the utility of what it could possibly be. But when we look more into the nerd stuff, actual patents and whatnot, shout out to Icy Amphibian for finding some of this great information tonight. It's understanding, wow, there is some real utility here. And for all the fudders, right? Those guys with the puppy dog on things on X saying, judge me scam. How the heck are you going to wrap your head around some of this? Because this is what we've been wanting. This is what we've been wanting to see of how it comes to fruition. Look what it says. Myself, A. All right, let's just say Max. First and last name. Well, I'm Mr. Stanley. First and last name in katakana, right? Gender, male. Gives the birthday, all this stuff. But you want to know something, guys? You're not freely giving this away like you were before to the likes of Facebook. You're not doing that at all. If anything, you are having the opportunity to not only have control of your data, but you have a say of who gets this data and how precious is this data? How much is this data actually worth? Are we dealing with medical data? No, we're not. But we could be. And that data is worth a hell of a lot more than just buying a Fortnite skin for $1, right? Even though that data has value, data sets have different forms of value. Profile editing, you name it, you decide what you want to share. And look, recommendations about, for instance, specified locations, recommendations about carpooling partners. Remember how we talked about, who you're going to ride with, what kind of experience that you have in regards to who you ride with, why that's so important, right? This is where Jasmy has reference in the white paper. If anybody even bothered to read it, that's okay. Where they reference in the white paper, data harmonization. This is how data becomes harmonized, because at the end of the day, there's no such thing as great harmony if you love, I know this is just an example, 90s hip hop, and then the person you're riding with hates 90s hip hop and they just love opera. Probably going to have some issues. That's not going to be a harmonious time, is it? No. But if you have an app that is going to pair you with the right people for those ride shares and so on, you can understand how that's going to be a big thing. Look at this on the right side. We'll allocate specified location carpool partners. Imagine something telling you, saying, hey, this is who you are. You're in a 90s hip hop. Maybe it'd be best if you rode with who? Maybe it'd be best if you rode with the guys that love listening to real hip hop, 90s hip hop, 80s hip hop. Listen to some of that Wu-Tang. Listen to some of that NWA. Listen to some of that, Nas back in the day and so on. You don't want to be listening to all this garbage freaking mumble rap and so on. That ain't going to fly. That ain't going to be cool. Mm-mm. Are you a metalhead? Maybe you should be with other metalheads. You get the point I'm trying to make. Data harmonization. Tomato. You get it. A little bit more about this for a second. Here's some other examples. Man, I'm telling you, this is exciting stuff. I think it is. Would you like to share this experience? No. Maybe you're just like, no, not nobody's business. Earn points by sharing. The point is, guys, an option. Can you imagine telling GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, no? Can you imagine also being able to say, well, okay, how much you want to pay me? Well, we'll give you, here's how many points you can earn. And I imagine for medical data, it's going to be a heck of a lot more, right? And this starts adding up. And then guess what that also does, guys? What does this also do? Why am I sharing this with you guys tonight? Why is Max going 6.5 hours on a live show? Because I'm so excited about Jasmy. Look where we've gone. Look where we're at. My goodness. Because when we talk about utility in motion, we talk about mass adoption, what would be created as a direct result of the material that we share tonight? Somebody says to themselves, and I'll come out of the frame for this a second. Somebody says in Japan, hey, guess what? Over in America, they freely give away their data to GAFA. Check this out. Jasmy has this thing. I'm telling you flat out, I really like it. You do? Yeah, it's more than just the whole idea of me earning money if I choose to do so. I don't even use it to earn money. I just like the idea that I could say no to a centralized authority. And I also like the idea that they're going to pair me up with other people that I have same type of interests. Like we have a guy in the comments right now. He's really into Pokemon. Maybe you carpool with a bunch of Pokemon guys. Maybe you carpool with other people, again, that have similar interests. Maybe you ride a bullet train or whatever the case be, or ride sharing platform, or whatever it is, with other people, like-minded people. You want to know something? I want to tell you guys something flat out. I want you to think about this for a second. I created this gaming organization, clan, where you want to call it, gaming group, back in January 23rd of 2022. Okay? A little over 22 years ago. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to link up with people that had the same interests as me. And at the time, we could all agree on one common thing, and that was a game called Medal of Honor Allied Assault. Believe it or not, that's where I met the great Will Fix, right? And he's come back in my life because we have similar interests, crypto. But my thing is this, having to go through those particular avenues to meet like-minded people, same type of people that share the same type of interests as me. How would you like to have something that will be a tool? When we talk about utility, this is a tool that will pair you with other people with the same type of interests. And if anything, give you the option to monetize your data or not monetize your data. Maybe you don't even care about it. But the point is having a choice. What kind of value is that going to have? When we talk about Jasmy being the disruptor of industries that really need to be disrupted, this is what I'm talking about. So enough about the whole thing of these examples. I shared enough. Don't want it to be an hour-long deep dive. But I think it's crucial to understand some of this stuff. And now let's get into some of the more juicy stuff. Jasmy, Europe, how does it all come together? Well, this is not a quant segment, but you have to keep in mind that there is things like this. And again, back to Luke Riley of Quant. I said, for instance, Jasmy in the future could scale with Quant, but we understand that they're going to optimism. So what you see here, I think is crucial to understand because, this lady, Rosa Giovanna Barisi, what a name. Probably a beautiful lady. Well, not too shabby. Anyway, she's a lawyer, adjunct professor of the University of maybe Florida. I don't know. It gets chopped up. She says, a great result, an EU wallet. Think about this, guys. Understand the bigger picture of what you hold with Jasmy. An EU wallet to authenticate and access public and private services and to store, share, and e-sign documents. Privacy dashboard to give users full control over their data. The wallet is to be used on a strictly voluntary basis. And this is what? European Parliament? MEP packs plans for EU-wide digital wallet. Interesting. And to see what Jasmy's trying to do in regards to the EU, I find that incredibly interesting. That's why I want to share it with you guys tonight. Nobody's really talking about some of this stuff. Let's talk about some of this stuff. So to expand more on the research, I have done this on the old channel. This is this channel, and that's where the focus is at. So back last year, I did cover this. There's a lot of new people in regards to Jasmy. I want to show you guys why this is all interesting. So what you see here, it says for the immediate release back in March of last year, literally a year ago, Data Chain Corporation, Mitsubishi UFJ Trust and Banking Corporation, of course, Soramitsu. Now, Soramitsu, like I mentioned, is an ISO standard. They're part of They're part of ISO, okay? ISO TC307, the quant network standard. I know, a lot of quant. And this is the Jasmy section or segment. But it's worth pointing out, technology alliance to enable smooth mutual transfer and exchange of wide variety of stable coins in Japan. Data chain, Mitsubishi, UFJ Trust, Banking Corporation, Sorimitsu, alliance to enable smooth mutual transfer of exchange of a wide variety of stablecoins to be issued in Japan. Again, guys, I point this out, 2024, watch out for 2024, because 2024 is going to be the year of Japanese non-denominated stablecoins, okay? And why that's crucial for understanding when we pair things up with Jasmy, the PDL, or it's the DD coin, JPY stablecoin, and so on. This is huge. How many times do we see Progmat referenced with Jasmy? It's a big deal. So look at this. Realize smooth mutual transfer of these between the exchanges. Already mentioned that. And you have, for instance, all the way back to 2022, where Japan led the way of, or the world's development in regards to the nations and passing a revision of Payment Services Act, defining a stablecoin as an electronic means of payment. The bill is scheduled to go into effect 2023, creating excitement in what would be called the first year stablecoin. Some of that already happened, right? Then it got delayed, but we're now in this year. And we talked about how things have changed, right? And I'm not going to get back into that again. You're more than welcome to watch the content. But to have examples about some of these developments, and have examples about how it comes all together, and even referencing institutions and banks is crucial. Look at this. Local digital currencies that are planned to be issued by various banks and other institutions in the future, aiming to improve efficiency and reduce fees for interbank, business, and personal remittances. In the future, they are going to consider cross-border remittance efficiency and fee reductions through mutual transfers and exchanges with overseas CBDCs, etc. See how it kind of all comes together? Hyperledger, by the way, if you're not aware of it, Jasmy uses Hyperledger Fabric, for instance. Right, and Aroha is part of that umbrella. Getting more into this other part, I'm going to reference this down here. Excuse me. Yes, here it is. Talks about how stablecoins are expected to minimize friction in the settlement of securities and other digital assets, NFTs. They're going to be used, for instance, for international remittances, micropayments. You got to keep in mind, guys, Jasmy entering into finance democracy. And this is why we have to reference some of these things. Again, it's a blast from the past. Now, what I want to share with you guys here, I know I'm out of the frame, but I'll come back. I wanted to give you an example of something you may not have ever been aware of, and it's this right here. So this is something I recently found out, and it does give you kind of a reference, if obviously. This is from Bitpanda, okay? Buy Jasmy Coin. Buying Jasmy Coin on Europe's leading retail broker. Notice how it says Europe. Yes, Europe's leading retail broker for buying and selling digital assets, easy, fast, and secure. So what happens when we have this whole thing of Jasmy, like, literally ready not just to take the world by storm, but I mean, it's not just Southeast Asia, guys. It's the European sector as well. See what you want. This is why it's crucial to understand why Taro Kono, the digital finance minister for Japan, former defense ministry, Taro Kono, went in, if you will, introduced DFFT to the world, but specifically not just, bringing it to Southeast Asia and so on, but literally going to Europe, right? In the European Union states. I say states, but anyway, members of the European Union. Notice in the patent that we talked about, like, for instance, some of those abbreviations of those countries, right? Understand that the European Union itself, they use their own standards. You have to be compliant with some of the standards. So if Jasmy already cross their T's and dot their I's for Japan, Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, you name it, Singapore, understand they are realizing that Europe represents a bunch of people, right? Billions of people. And they want to be well positioned for what's going on there as well. So you have to have the patents. You have to have the right inventions. You have to have the standards to get you to the finish line of there. What's going to happen next after that? Obviously, United States. So Jasmy is looking to take this thing worldwide. The proof is there. There's no debating that anymore. And I want to get into this next thing of why I thought this was, definitely important, and and why I'm bringing it to you guys, because if anything, you're gonna see this, and it's basically from the white paper. Can we reference the white paper again? Well, we're not going to nerd out completely, but we are going to reference the white paper again. Hardly anybody recognizes the white paper. By the way, we have almost 700 people on this live show. 693. And we tick up to 700. My God. Thank you so much to all you guys who tuned down the live show. It'll be chopped up on the recorded later. It just takes time. But this is referenced in the white paper, guys. Yes. There's a reference Europe. Yes. You just got to take a time to get into the white paper. Look what it says. It says, for instance, that you have this whole thing of enterprise expenditures related to personal information disclosure. You have this whole thing of enterprise economic activities. And you have this whole thing of recognizing that you need to enhance network security, increase the number of servers, managing all this stuff. And you need basically to have something that's going to cut the cost, because in the old days, it was a huge cost. But global businesses in the common digital area must comply with the local data regulation in each country. Listen to this, guys. To build a suitable networked environment, the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation of the European Union, back in 2016, was implemented by the European Parliament and Council of the European Union in 2018. Again, think about this. Jasmy is literally like, this is beginning years. They're not even public. They didn't even go public until 2021. But it says, in reality, many companies have not yet built a clear response policy and plan regarding to handling of customer data in compliance with regulation. Who is now going gangbusters about that? It's Jasmy. Look at this next part. You have, for instance, yes, look at this. These examples, and I know I'm just going down to the EU part because, we kind of got into a lot of different things. But the point was to share that from the white paper, okay? And again, your bottom line is this. European Union and the Parliament, right? The next part, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did EU on that. Yes, that's right. Limitation of data management. Internet's current state, most services are commonly built on so-called centralized systems. Again, back to the GAFA reference. Companies manage all the data on their own servers, provides various services to users. Look at the solution. The solution is privacy, data privacy. Japan's information banks, personal data storage, personal, information management system. You ever notice this? They literally wrote this out many years ago, and now you are seeing the realization, like it says, of a digitalized society. Remember back to what I just talked about earlier? Digitalized society. They advocate for decentralization. They advocate for the whole thing of everyone can manage their data. They advocate for, having safe and secure conditions. They advocate for giving permission to use, this to others without stress or fear, right? Because it's all locked up. It's all set in an app that has high security. With the Jasmy platform, we'll be able to realize a society where personal data protection and utilization can be well balanced. The point is this, guys. I literally gave you proof of an example of how this all comes together, how we are expanding into Europe, understanding the bigger picture. And the icing on the cake is coming up. And, it's just understanding all this. So there's a lot of new people to Jasmy, and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want you guys to just simply understand, like, wow, man, do we really have something solid here? I think the answer is yes. So I'm going to take you now to this next particular one. This is from the one and only Icy Amphibian. Please give our fellow brother Icy a follow. He definitely deserves your follow. He can be followed over at Icy Amphibian, just like it sounds. Okay? So let's go ahead and full screen this as well. This is good stuff. This is an update. Well, old and new, right? Give you some of my own key takeaway. Please smash the like if we can get to 700 people on the live. Wow. All right. So Jasmy community, he says. When was this? Well, I think it's a while back, but maybe it's new. I think this one's somewhat new. Hold on a second. Let's see the date on this. A lot of stuff. Look at this. So somewhat new. January 26, 2024. So again, I was trying to expand on this. So he says he had a thoughts about the recent AMA. There's been other AMAs since then. I'm going to just jump down to some of these key spots. But basically, yeah, look at this. 3 things that were listed at the end of that particular AMA. Heavily described the patents. So we just talked about the patents. We gave you the example of, again, from Mr. IC Amphibian about the patents. The patents, describe how Jasmy networks can be partitioned, which means that Jasmy networks ran by node operators in different regions can be completely separate from each other. So there can be compliant Jasmy Japan, Jasmy USA, Jasmy Europe. My God. Jasmy China, Jasmy United Arab Emirates, etc., without causing friction between these governments to still bring value to the same Jasmy coin. Now, I love the point about Filecoin. We'll get into that in a second. Guys, don't overthink it. Don't get it twisted. Why point out some of this stuff? So understand this. To get over that hurdle in regards to Japan, regulatory compliance in Japan, way more stricter than here in the United States. Jasmy was able to do it. It's kind of like that song, Frank Sinatra, and then later on, Jay-Z and, Alicia Keys, talking about New York, the Empire State. Once if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. Here's to you, New York. I know, bad singer. Here's to you, Jasmy. Here's to you, Japan. Here's to you, European Union, right? Here's to you, Jasmy management team, understanding you don't give a crap about retail because you understand the institutional side of things. You understand the bigger picture, Guys, I'm telling you flat out, I think this is going to be massive for Jasmy. And look at this. There's another thing. All right, shout out to brother Icy. Pull it up again. It says here, these things, the friction, you can't have friction because you're not compliant. You can't have an issue where maybe your particular device, uses up more energy in this particular European Union's, country compared to others. You have to be in compliance with it all. Hence, Jasmy introducing the patent. Hence, Jasmy recognizing global standards. Hence, Jasmy crossing their T's and dotting their I's. This other part, and again, this is back to why I say Jasmy, all they need to do is get a slice of the Filecoin pie. And I have a lot of Filecoin, and it's one that I feel as though, allergies, feel as though I don't get too attached to, walk away from completely. I don't marry it. But I like this mention, and the mention, anything mentioned in regards to Filecoin is amazing. And please, if you're new to Jasmy is not going to go to the prices Filecoin went to. Previous all-time highs for Filecoin is like $225. It's not going to do that. But it could possibly reach the KPI targets, like they mentioned. Or how about this? Half of the KPI target. If we get to half of the KPI targets, we're looking at least an $8 Jasmy, right? And that's massive. So Web3 Filecoin provides distributed data IPFS, right? Interplanetary file system, if you're wondering what that means. Well known, but in reality, the infrastructure is supported by data center operators. So we will see more good projects from the user perspectives in the future. Look at this quote. We are focusing on the data that users have and the resources of the devices that generate the data. You as an individual actually have a lot of valuable data, right? Companies want accurate data, right? That's why you think Google and all these companies for centralized data are worth so much. You wonder why Google is worth so much? It's not just because they're the world's largest index protocol. It's because that protocol connects to a big, huge data set for centralized data. If data is, I can't pronounce that tonight. Why do I always have an issue with this word? Anyway, and abstracted and provided in a way that does not identify individuals, businesses can use data with a reduced risk of leverage leakage. Guys, I've been going like 7 hours doing this tonight. So anyway, companies developing AI products have an ongoing need to acquire accurate data, and this need will continue to grow as the market expands in the future. What do you think is the device resource you are most familiar with? Right. Look at this example. Gaming terminal, including PlayStation. GPU is computing device specialized for real-time image processing. Image processing. My God. Do you guys remember when I was talking about this? Remember I talked about the most important research yet? We come out of the frame. The most important research yet to solidify the whole concept of why we've seen action and direct reaction and why the market pumped for Jasmy is because of the, you know, bills becoming laws, right? And then the second big price action for Jasmy was Hong Kong. The big news about what they're invested in, what countries they're invested in, and so on, right? CMOS image sensors, are tied into IoT. CMOS image sensors are tied into, for instance, semiconductors. And that example that you just saw in regards to the Sony PlayStation, okay? Everybody is thinking that it's been so speculative, the whole notion of that. But again, maybe it's not the PS5, and maybe there's going to be a super PS5. I don't know. Or maybe it's just a PlayStation 6 for the future. But would a Sony PlayStation 6 have something in regards to tracking the movement of you in what? Maybe the metaverse. Maybe PlayStation wants to position themselves for a bigger platform than just, little lobbies of certain games. Can we connect to one mainframe, or can we have people play the Sony PlayStation 6 actually inside the metaverse? Why would they want to do that? Why wouldn't they want to not do that? Because it's an interconnected world where you can connect people through more of a whole thing of payment flows, contributing to the society, you name it, right? There's so many endless possibilities. So it's not just like what we typically cover with IoT, it's understanding the bigger picture. And IC Amphibian did an excellent job, in my opinion, of mentioning that. And I will mention this last part because this is going to be, pounding at home, because some people say, well, I don't know if I have any of this stuff at home right now. Well, you do. IC mentions this. Do you have any unused gaming terminals in your home? Are they sleeping when they're not in use? What if there was a program in which you could be paid for the time you are not using the device in exchange for donating those resources to an innovation company? Furthermore, you may be able to own a portion of the new products, services, and value added to or added that are created by your donation of these resources. Our platform, as in Jasmy, being developed to implement the ability to create and own productions and IP by providing data and just that, resources. Resources. Guys, don't get it twisted. It's understanding the resources, right? You better believe it's understanding the resources. So before we close this out, all right, let me come back into the frame. I got to take you to this next part, okay? There's two more things that we're going to get into before we close it out. It might be kind of a deep dive, and it's okay. I want to take you to this, okay? And that is in regards to specifically the whole concept of data, okay? So I want you guys to understand this. We talked about my number system, talk about those whole things of the IC cards. And you have to understand, Japan is not the only nation where the shift is underway. Back to the example, GDPR, or the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, is also moving ahead to achieve better personal data regulations. Better data regulations and working with what? Maybe the one that is the all-in-one platform? Max, that's such a stretch. Look at this. The Consumer Privacy Survey suggests that people are seeking better ways to promise data democracy. Oh my God, doesn't that spell out Jasmy for us? Yes, it does. You want to find out where this is at? Digitaljournal.com, PR News is where you can get that. It says, so promise data democracy. Breaking away from the clout of data, I guess you could say, collation. collection. I don't know. Maybe it's a typo. And sharing sharing being controlled by big tech companies. Again, back to GAFA. As a move towards Web 3, again, Web 3, it says it literally right there for you, is underway. There is a chance for first-party data taking more control. On the outset, this could mean finding ourselves browsing without the fear of tracking cookies at play. I mean, how many times I go to a new website and I have to click that thing every time? The more responsible tech companies should not have an issue with seeking approval to gather first-party data. Data gathered with consent also translate to qualitatively better data and takes away the dependency on data gathering tech or agencies that procure consumer data using less ethical methods with the promise of adding more value to the digital marketing success ratio. Wow. Like, really? Yeah, really. Now, let's take you to the icing on the cake. Because I'm not just trying to recreate stuff for the new people. Old people, too, they've been following this. Do we have anything solid in regards to a recent report of Europe or a particular country in Europe that is stopping immediately the whole collection of data? The answer is yes. And if anything, this was recently reported, I believe maybe just a few days ago. Okay. And it's going to reference another coin. Let's go ahead and share this. It's Spain. Let's go ahead and get into this. So, what you're going to see here, and I'll take off the branding for you can really see it. Okay. Lots of emphasis needs to be on this instead of the logos. What you see here is it says Spain orders WorldCoin to stop collecting data. Now, if you're wondering where this is coming from, go to ccn.com/news/Spain orders WorldCoin stop collecting data. Now I get it. Some of you guys aren't fans of WorldCoin. I mean, it's been way up, but this is where some of you guys are like, I don't like WorldCoin. I haven't seen a single member of a community like WorldCoin. I'm just throwing it out there. OG Crypto mentions the whole thing. He's not a big fan of WorldCoin. He feels as though WorldCoin is like, the concept of the end times or whatever. Teach his own. 6 days ago on this report, March 7th, if you're wondering exactly how long. So Spain orders WorldCoin to stop collecting data. What the heck does this have to do with it, anything in regards to Jasmy? Well, we're going to get into that. The point is understanding action and reaction, you guys. So by WorldCoin being stopped to, ordered to stop collecting biometric, again, think about this, biometric data in Spain, what is going to happen from here? Well, these key takeaways. And I'll pause on that for a second. I want to talk about that for a second. Every action has reaction. Everything that we understand is significant because it's supply and demand. If you see something in which you're being forced to not collect something because, that's a form of centralization. Understand, again, what happened recently with Jasmy. Those laws passed, or I should say those bills passed, boom, action, reaction, Jasmy to the moon, as the saying goes. And then Hong Kong doing what it's doing, right? That's another action. This is another one. Why am I pointing this out to you guys? I want you to understand, I think this is the next big move for Jasmy to stand out because the patents that are there and because how huge that is. It well positions themselves to take care of what? Decentralized data marketplace. To understand that, wow, if we talk about market movers are initialized as a direct reaction of supply and demand, but the dependency of moving from one particular thing, this example, to another, right? Yes. So, coming back out of the frame, the Spanish Data Protection Agency, again, another one, AEPD, ordered Tools for Humanity WorldCoin project to cease collecting and processing data. WorldCoin has already pulled its orb of biometric scanners from France. Germany is the only EU country where they remain operational. Since the WorldCoin Developer Tools for Humanity launched its iris scanning orb technology, the spherical biometric scanners have appeared in various locations around the world. As of March 6, Spanish Data Protection Agency AEPD has ordered the firm to stop collecting data in the country. The agency cited concerns that the scanners could breach the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. My God. I don't know if you guys really truly follow this, and it's okay if you don't. But to see the Jasmy white paper specifically mention GDPR and the significance of GDPR, I'm telling you flat out, actions become reactions. Supply meets demand. And the last two particular examples, we've seen Jasmy get sent. I think when this whole thing gets done in regards to these patents for Europe, you will see even the likes of Spain with what? The AEPD, Spanish Data Protection Agency, incentivizing Jasmy. They don't even have to mention Jasmy. If they put in an order that specifically mentioned WorldCoin, saying, look, you're using, these scanning devices, but you're not using it in the right way, that creates demand for the opposite. It creates demand for Jasmy. And that is profound. For anybody saying, no, it doesn't, because WorldCoin uses the same, I guess you could say, biometric data or, technology as Jasmy. Understand centralized data, right? Are they giving people choices with that data? No, they're not, right? That goes to the whole concept of GAFA. Jasmy is the answer to that. That's a solution. So something like Spain would be on board for that. Boom. Spain is the first to recognize that problem. What happens when you have other European Union member states? I'm telling you, mass adoption. I'm going to call it right now. Jasmy bombshell. And that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys tonight. Some of you guys ask what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield. And, Will Fix point this out, and it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your significant other, you can get two of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Decent wallet is not having to do the red tape of jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. I mean, Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to Ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out though if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on Ledger that I kind of split it up on it and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one I use.